All right, so we're going to talk about something a bit sensitive.
Three things.
Yeah, a few things that all revolve around one very, very, very sensitive issue. Let's start with Vic Fangio. That was the early big news, that he says that if culture reflected, I'm paraphrasing, but if culture reflected an NFL team, we would all be a better place, that he doesn't see race and he doesn't see it as being an issue in the NFL.
Yeah. He's since apologized, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he basically said, I don't think the NFL has a racial issue or a racism issue. I'm not really sure which word he used. But regardless, come on, dude. Just right now, first of all, never's the right time, ever, to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But, dude, just keep that crap to yourself if that's what you think. Even if a reporter asks you a question, do you think the NFL has a racial problem? You can just reply, I have no comment.
He's painting with a wide brush. When he says the NFL, he's saying across the board, right?
Yeah.
He's saying that I don't see an issue. Now, take a step back. If he said, I don't see that as an issue on my team, I don't know if people have aren't raising their hands about it. I don't know, maybe they are. But as a older white gentleman, you cannot say out loud that you do not see a race problem anywhere. I don't think you get to, that's not a topic I think you get to discuss. Not right now. And not in that type of forum, not in that op-ed on denverbroncos.com. And he should have kept his mouth shut, like you said. I just think it's very tone deaf, and it's not surprising that an older white gentleman has a take like that.
Just don't say it. Even if you think it, and even if like I said, even if the reporter set it up, I don't know what the question was, but let's assume the worst in terms of the question where the reporter said, do you think the NFL has a racial problem or a racism problem? Which is, just asking for an answer. No, I don't think they do. Which would, the reporter doesn't quote their own question, but you quote a response, you're screwed. You gotta be smart enough in today's environment to go, not reply to that.
Yeah. And then compounded with the fact that Drew Brees makes did it again. Hold on.
What do you have? Drew Brees.
So, and then Drew Brees and his statement. So Vic Fangio's like, oh, thank goodness for Drew Brees. Because here comes Drew Brees on Yahoo Finance, who talks about, I will never be okay with anyone disrespecting the American flag. And then goes into his very canned response of, I saw both my grandfathers fight in World War II, or heard about the stories, whatever it is, and disrespecting the flag is disrespecting them and what they fought for.
Okay. I don't know where to start with that one.
Start from the top.
First of all, Drew Brees, we knew this was an issue because remember when was Kaepernick? 16? 17?
Yeah, 3 years ago. Call it 3 years ago.
Whenever Kaepernick was doing his thing, Drew Brees came out and said he would never do that.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's number one. Number two.
Which is okay. If that's not the way you want to protest.
If you don't want to do it and want to join in, fine. I have no issue with that. You do you. You want to stand for the anthem, you stand for the anthem. You could say, I will stand for the anthem, but I completely respect and understand his protest.
Right. I see what he was saying, okay? As someone who, my father fought his father before him, I am one of the only people on my side on the Stroke side of the family did not go in the military. I took a different route. And look, I have a cousin who just graduated from West Point. Needless to say, I am deep military history, runs deep in my family. I understand what he's saying. I understand where he's coming from. However, and I'll tell you, 3 years ago, I probably would have had, I did have the same opinion. You don't disrespect the flag under no circumstances, right? When I saw the flag disrespected, I would get pissed. I've come full circle to realize that my vision and understanding of the symbol of the flag means something very different to somebody else and to other people. And the very thing that my father fought for, that my family gave, some of them gave their lives for, is very different. The end goal is very different for them. And you know, someone who's looking at the American flag may see oppression, 400 years of it, present day oppression. And so when they are protesting, they are taking advantage of the very right that the Constitution affords them, and the very thing that people in the military fight for every day.
Yeah, I agree with you. First of all, you said a symbol of the flag, which I completely agree with. It's just a symbol. I mean, World War II was horrific. Don't get me wrong, horrible. They were fighting off on two fronts. You know, they were fighting off a guy that wanted to rule the world, wanted to genocide an entire people. Then, you know, you had the Pacific with, I don't remember what Japan's goals were at this point. I'm sure it was to own the Pacific. And we were fighting that off. It was very different. But at the same time, I could see comparisons to people saying we're trying to fight off genocide and mass murders and, you know, that to slavery. Like, there were so many African-American, not even African-American, Africans or people of color killed due to, you know, slavery. It's like, are you kidding?
How many men, but how many men in that same position, African-American or minority, people of color, who went and fought in World War II and beyond, came back to oppression in the very country they sought to defend?
I would say, and this is a guess, I have no idea, but my assumption would be almost all of them.
Right. And so I don't think you get to make that argument in this present day. I don't think that, I think it was a very tone deaf argument. Not necessarily, I don't believe that he understood really what he was saying. I think it was very shallow. And you mentioned that Malcolm Jenkins came out and said something, his very own teammate.
Yeah, he was almost in tears in his reply. He was just very emotional. And look, I get that there's different perspectives, and Drew Brees has his, I have mine, everybody has theirs. But here's my opinion. If you don't want to stand and you want to protest during the national anthem, it's your God-given right, in my opinion. You want to kneel, you want to sit, you want to lay down, I don't care. It doesn't impact me personally. If I want to kneel, it doesn't impact anybody personally. It's what I or they, whomever wants to do. Like, I can kneel if, you know, that's a form of protest. I'm happy to kneel or sit. I had no issue with what Kaepernick was doing, and I fully supported it. I wish more people in the NFL and around sports would do it because they have a bigger platform than average Joe citizen.
I look, like I said, I've come full circle on this argument, and I feel very different than I did three years ago when it was just starting. I just want more. I always want more from our leaders. I want more from our government. I just want more. And it's never going to be enough, I guess.
Yeah, I hope this sparks the change that's necessary, and people that either have never voted before or don't vote will get out and actually vote, be it for president or even in the non-presidential elections, because normally the presidential election is screwed up by the Electoral College. Thanks for that. But, you know, the primaries and local elections is where you can really, really impact change, because your vote actually counts 1 for 1. And if you get, you know, you do whatever, you can actually change it.
We need to be better as a people. We're the land of the free and the home of the brave. And we are the light that is the example for the world. And we are not that right now.
It saddens me that, you know, roughly 400 years after slavery or thereabout, that we're having these conversations now. And I understand, yes, there's better late than never, but still, like, this should have happened I don't even know, the 1700s maybe.
The hard part is you talk about white privilege, and look, no one's expecting anyone to give up a privilege. What I'm expecting people to have is all people to have some sort of privilege. Everybody should have the privilege of respect and advancement, and so I'm not looking for Caucasians to give up their privilege. I just want to be able to share in that privilege, right? I joke, it's not really a joke, but I always joke with people, like, I'm guilty of being brown. And, I've been pulled over. I've been harassed by police officers. I had a police officer come to my door in the house that I own and accuse me of doing something in my neighborhood. And he only came to my house. He didn't go to my neighbors. I live in a very white neighborhood. He didn't go to anybody else. He just went to my house and accused me of doing something, vandalizing the neighborhood. And so, I mean, that hit home. That reminded me that even though I am half white, that I will always be seen as a brown man in many people's eyes. And look, my mom used to always tell me, the best revenge is success, work hard and push forward. But I also believe you have to compound that with the best revenge is sometimes revenge, in a very smart way and not a violent way. And we need to find ways to work with the system, not against it, and find ways to just change the game and just open people's eyes. And hopefully this will change. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to see everything happening on the news and dig in on their opinion and say,
God,
see, that's why I think the way I think, and it's going to help their cause. But hopefully there will be other people that change their opinion.
Yeah, look, I mean, as you know, I'm not a big by the Constitution guy on everything. Certain things, yes, but I think it's an evolving document. It has been. It was written in the 1770s. I mean, come on. But the preamble, obviously, you need to update it a little bit. It's like, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men should be people. They kind of messed that one up. Are created equal. It's right freaking there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just drives me crazy.
It's infuriating, but let me tell you my story about the NFL.
All right, go ahead.
So
just can make me, the whole thing is upsetting.
Let's finish up with this story, and it's going to finish with a kind of sad and frustrating. But so I was interviewing for a role at the NFL within the organization, the league. And so this opportunity came across. I knew somebody in the organization. I reached out to them. We had a great conversation. One for one, responsibility, background, boom, 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 boom. I was the perfect guy for it, okay? Combination of everything that they were looking for. All of a sudden, things kind of went silent. I didn't hear back from them. What the heck's going on? Well, I knew somebody else in the organization. So I decided to reach out to her. And I said, hey, I talked to, let's change the name. I talked to
Person
Person X. Thought I had a great conversation with him. Do you know if they hired for that role?
Should have said Person Z, because X is probably not a good idea right now, but whatever.
She goes, yeah, they actually hired someone. And I said, would you mind telling me who they are, or pointing me in the direction just so I can see what their background was, because I'm interested to see what they look like. Went back and was like, holy shit, they have half the experience that I do. They didn't even meet the minimum requirements of that role.
Who were they related to?
No. I went back and I asked her, I said, hey, can you fill me in on the NFL hiring practices? Tell me why this person would have been selected versus me.
Wait, to your friend or to the HR people?
This is person Y now. So the second person I was going back and forth with.
Okay.
She basically said, look, she's like, that role has a lot of interaction with the owners. Okay. You would be
I know where
working,
this is going, and I hate it already.
Yeah. You'd be working hand in hand with the owners, trying to get league priorities in the digital space pushed forward. I can't confirm or deny this, but you were not selected, I would bet, because you are not white.
Oh, for the love of fucking hell.
And that, look, this was all via conversation on the phone, so obviously it can't be tracked, and I wouldn't ever put that out there and put this person at jeopardy. But as I started thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, I'd have to go from team to team talking about the league priorities and convince, and basically it was kind of almost like an internal advocate for certain priorities.
Okay.
Working hand in hand with team representatives and owners as a non-white guy, which everybody else in the room would be white. And so when she told me that, and she's just like, off the record, this is why I would suspect you were not moved forward in the process, I reached out to person X and said, hey, by the way, I heard this. All of a sudden, he unfriended me on LinkedIn.
Oh, come on.
On Facebook. He stopped following me on Twitter.
Well, everybody stops following you on Twitter.
Yeah, well, but someone we worked with mutually at Fox Sports, and who I thought had a lot of respect for me, and vice versa. But it's what happens still today, and the NFL is a major. I mean, look, they are an instigator of it, and they continue to perpetuate it with many different things.
It's just the whole thing said, look, either you can do the job or you can't. I don't give a crap. Just tell me what tell me what your background is. You're the right person for the job. Here you go. Yeah. And if you fail at it, then you fail at it.
Right. Like I said, if I didn't have one for one all the responsibilities, on my resume, and man, I'm a perfect fit for this role. There's no way they wouldn't pick me. And then they pick some knucklehead that doesn't have half the shit that I have. I'm wondering what's going on, and then compound it with the fact that I couldn't find any instances of connections that he had with people in the organization, because you assumed, who does he know, who is he related to? Wasn't anything like that. He wasn't a former player. He wasn't anything. It just, for whatever reason, he got in and I didn't. Look, it all worked out. I am at a great company now. I'm doing some great things now, but super disappointing when I heard how that could have or did go down.
That makes me think that, it should just be, if you really want to get rid of it, you do like blind interviews. I don't need phone interviews. You can have the person come in, but like put up a screen and see. It would be an interesting experiment. I know they've done it in like music conservatories for people where they put up a screen and then they just let them play, and then they select the best player, and then whatever they look like, who cares? Many
times I have thought about removing my picture from LinkedIn.
I did.
Many times. But you know what? It's too late for me, because all you have to do is Google my name and you can find my pictures anywhere.
Me too. But I removed it from that for that exact reason, actually.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.